Innocent men don't run, they clear their name in court. That was Andrew Tate's message from a private jet in March 2025. Exactly 484 days later, US Marshals surrounded him outside a bare-knuckle boxing event, placed him in handcuffs, and took him into federal custody. As of this recording, Andrew and his brother, Tristan, are sitting in a holding cell awaiting extradition to the UK, where they are expected to face 59 charges ranging from forcing himself onto women to the alleged possession of CSAM. Just when they thought they had escaped it all and were publicly celebrating their freedom, it was all taken away from them in an instant. Now, it looks like this could be the beginning of the end for the Tate brothers. Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today, we're going into the latest news surrounding the Tate brothers, and revealing not only what led up to it, but what's in store for their future. If you've spent any amount of time on social media over the past 4 years, you've probably heard of Andrew Tate whether you wanted to or not. So I'm not going to waste 20 minutes recapping his entire life just to pad the runtime. Andrew and Tristan Tate are British-American brothers who went from being fairly successful kickboxers to becoming two of the most recognizable figures on the internet. You know the rest. Hustlers University, Matrix, Red Pill, debates, and millions of dollars generated from teenagers that had nothing better to watch during lockdown. In 2022, Romanian authorities raided their properties and charged both brothers with human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group.
The Matrix has attacked me.
Prosecutors allege they used what's known as the loverboy method, presenting themselves as romantic partners to lure women to Romania, before coercing them into producing online adult content and taking the majority of the profits for themselves. Allegations like this weren't a one-off thing for the Tates, and it seems their past has come back to haunt them.
Mr. Tate, would you mind signing?
Hey, Tate.
Tristan, anything to say?
Looking at the footage itself, there are several wild details packed into just a few seconds. The first thing you'll notice is the person filming asking Andrew for an autograph. It's still unclear whether the person recording was working with law enforcement or was simply an actual bystander, but either way, it had the same effect. Andrew immediately slips into fan mode, assuming he's about to sign yet another mouth breather's autograph. Then he sees it. Out of the corner of his eye, he spots the officers closing in. The entire thing appears to have been a carefully planned ambush. Within seconds, undercover agents surround him from every direction. Having been through legal trouble before, Andrew seems to recognize what's happening almost instantly. His first instinct is to hand his phone to one of his bodyguards, before the officers can seize it. He doesn't make it though. The phone slips out of his hand and falls to the ground, where one of the undercover officers, or potentially an event security guard, picks it up. Then there's another moment that's almost comical. You can see his friend Justin Waller trying to pull Andrew's chain over his head before he's fully detained. Instead, it gets caught on the top of his head and ends up dangling awkwardly from his bald scalp, while officers continue escorting him away. They say pride comes before a fall, and in the case of the Tate brothers, it couldn't be more true. Over the past couple of years, the Tates have been using the fact that they weren't in prison yet as proof that they are innocent and stretching any outcome or delay into claims of being exonerated and free, with Andrew taking it to Twitter to make multiple tweets taunting his accusers. Romania, no case. UK, no case. USA, no case. 4 months in jail, 3 years locked in my house. I'm one of the most mistreated men in history. I am in Miami. At Gov Ron DeSantis, find probable cause and arrest me. Tell that weak little twig AG to stop pretending he's a man on the news and come arrest me. Then charge me with a crime. I dare you to arrest and charge me so I can clear my name in a court of law. Come get me. I'm home and waiting all day. For people that don't have the full context, this may come across as legit. If it was a criminal that actually did something, surely he would be prosecuted, right? Well, let's just say there's a reason why he was recently arrested.
I messaged her, she's like, I'm only 16. I was like, give a f know about me. 21, I don't care.
If you were to start lying and saying all these 16-year-old women or 18-year-old women, whatever the law is in America, 18?
It's 18 usually. You get married at 16. I think.
All right, in Romania, it's 16. Sorry.
So Vivian's been with me 6 years. She's completely head over heels in love with me. She wants kids with me, everything. And we met and we felt whatever, we're in love. When I bring on new girls, I usually pair them with Vivian. Because Vivian's younger. Melissa's like 28, Vivian's like 21.
Bruh.
One of my main chicks has 200,000 Instagram followers, and I took her virginity when she was 17.
Seriously though, how is he not in prison yet? To understand how he was even free to walk around in Miami, we have to rewind to 2023, when the Tate brothers were placed under a travel ban while Romanian authorities worked through their criminal cases. That ban was lifted in early 2025, which is pretty shocking once you look at why. According to a New York Times article, the decision was reportedly influenced by the Romanian government's desire to, quote, appease the current US administration. Richard Grenell, a diplomatic envoy for the Trump administration, is said to have discussed the Tate's case with senior Romanian officials, including an advisor to the Prime Minister and the country's foreign minister. After those conversations, an extraordinary order allegedly came down from the highest levels of the Romanian government, instructing prosecutors to find a, quote, compromise with the brothers. Andrew Tate even claimed in private text messages that the Trump administration was, quote, on top of things, and that he would be free soon, because, in his words, Trump needs to see me in Miami. Legally, there was another major factor. By that point, the prosecution's case had largely fallen apart. In late 2024, a Romanian judge threw out the original 2003 indictment for human trafficking, citing procedural mistakes. That ruling prevented the case from moving to trial in its existing form. However, a separate investigation involving allegations of trafficking minors and money laundering was still ongoing, but it had not yet resulted in an active indictment. Legal experts described this as a, quote, lull in the proceedings, meaning there was technically no live indictment against the brothers when they requested permission to travel. So, in short, Romanian prodded the case so badly that the Tate brothers were ultimately allowed to leave the country. Whether the current US administration was quietly pulling strings behind the scenes is still up for debate. Looking back though, it's hard not to wonder if letting them travel ended up being a 4D chess move. By allowing them into the United States, it may have made it easier for authorities to pursue extradition later. Who knows? What matters is during those months of freedom, and even before their initial travel ban release, the Tates had been desperately trying to make as much money as humanly possible, as well as battle for any kind of relevance. If you thought the legal cases were the only thing dragging Tate down, somehow it gets even more embarrassing. Around the same time his criminal charges were hanging over his head, he decided the obvious next business venture was crypto. Which is funny because this is the same guy who had spent years saying he would never promote scam coins, and that he wasn't like all the other influencers trying to rob their audiences. That position changed pretty quickly once the money started drying up. Suddenly, Andrew Tate was promoting coin after coin, with the most infamous one being called Daddy Coin. The biggest problem for Tate wasn't people making fun of the name, although there was plenty of that. It was when CoffeeZilla started digging into it in October 2024. Tate insisted he was simply helping his followers make money, but the blockchain activity and promotional posts painted a very different picture of Tate, essentially rug pulling his most dedicated followers. Instead of addressing the criticism, Tate completely melted down. He leaked CoffeeZilla's email address, encouraged his followers to spam him, and uploaded videos doubling down on promoting Daddy Coin. As if that wasn't enough, things somehow got even worse with the real world. Tate's rebranded version of Hustlers University. The platform was marketed as an exclusive community where members could supposedly learn to escape the, quote, matrix and become financially free. In reality, it looked more like a Discord clone layered with subscriptions, rankings, tokens, and enough gamification to keep people paying every month. Then, the entire thing got hacked. Because the platform was reportedly running outdated software with known security vulnerabilities, hackers were able to gain access far more easily than anyone expected. They flooded the site with memes, altered emojis across the platform, and generally turned the place into complete chaos, while members watched in real time time. The hackers leaked roughly 14 gigabytes of internal data, including over 800,000 user email addresses, private messages, and information connected to Tate's exclusive war room community. Members who had paid thousands of dollars for supposed privacy suddenly found their information exposed online. Fast forward to December of 2025, Tate decided to step into a boxing ring with influencer Chasty Moore. Despite constantly portraying himself as an unbeatable fighter and one of the toughest men on the internet, the exhibition ended up doing more damage to his ego than any court already had. Chase was bigger, more aggressive, and repeatedly pushed the pace, while Tate struggled to establish any real control. Clips of Tate getting backed up around the ring spread everywhere online, and the fight quickly became another example people pointed to whenever he talked about being an unstoppable alpha male. With all that in mind, it comes as no surprise that the Tate brothers were arrested in Miami. It's almost like they were suddenly jolted awake from this fantasy they had been living in, where they thought they had escaped the reach of the law. Sure, they were getting humiliated left and right, but as long as they weren't sitting in a jail cell, none of it really mattered. They could still plan yacht parties, host events, network with influential people, and carry on like nothing had happened. Now, that's all over. This wasn't just a wake-up call about where Andrew Tate stands legally, it was also a wake-up call about his popularity. Almost immediately after the arrest, people across Twitter and other social media platforms started making fun of him, especially his outfit, myself included, because let's be honest, that might be one of the fruitiest outfits a man has ever worn. Some people even claimed they found the exact outfit on a women's clothing website. Then, the courtroom sketch was released, and people immediately started clowning on Tristan Tate's failed hair transplant. They really couldn't help themselves, and who can blame them? Following the arrest, the Tate's legal representative, Joseph McBride, released a public statement saying, "We are of course objecting to extradition because Andrew and Tristan are innocent. We are working to get them out of there as soon as possible." Just as a side note, Joseph McBride actually has a YouTube channel that you can go look at right now. It's filled with AI-generated thumbnails, and most of the videos barely crack triple digits in views. Some don't even reach 100. It's exactly the kind of YouTube channel you would expect Andrew Tate's lawyer to have. Tate has also responded to the arrests by having someone post things like, "If I was really a sexual predator like grooming gangs, Prince Andrew, BBC presenters, or Lord Mandelson, Epstein's best friend, the British police would not be hunting me around the globe. They would be protecting me." Of course, it's probably his legal PR team running the account right now. I seriously doubt he has access to his phone. The replies to that post are also locked, which is pretty funny considering how much he talks about free speech. Elon Musk even replied to someone quoting the post, calling it his quote, strongest argument. Around the same time, a 3-hour interview with Tate that he prepared before being arrested was released, where he spends hours talking about how the Matrix and the global elites are coming after him. The timing of that interview feels especially strange. It almost comes across like there's a coordinated effort to repair Andrew's public image, which is funny because that's exactly the kind of operation he always claims is working against him. Meanwhile, the richest man on the planet is publicly siding with him, or at the very least showing empathy for his situation. Remember when I mentioned earlier that Tate supposedly said Trump wanted to see him or needed him in Miami? Well, it turns out that's not the case. Trump has essentially said he will not step in to stop the Tates from being returned to the United Kingdom after their arrest. The future for the Tates is looking extremely grim. The walls are finally closing in on them after all these years. If they are found guilty of these charges, they very well could serve life in prison, as 10 of Andrew's charges carry life sentences. The British government very likely wants to make an example of them to show the world that people like the Tate brothers cannot get away with essentially bragging about sex trafficking women, allegedly.
I messaged her, she's like, I'm only 16. I was like, give a f. Know about me. 21, I don't care.
Will the Tates finally get the justice they deserve? Or do they somehow have an ace in the hole that could get them out of this jam? For now, all we can do is wait and see. But if I had money to bet, I would wager that Top G is slated to become a bottom very soon.
Hang up that computer call, come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth. I'm feeling romantic.
If you want to stay updated, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out, as I'll be posting updates on my channel.